right now, the Democrats in Congress, some of them at least, especially the ones from the state of Connecticut, where obviously where the Sandy Hook shooting happened, are proposing some legislation. It's minor legislation to make sure there's some background checks, make sure that people who get guns are above the age of 21, simple things like that. Representative Chris Van Hollen, who proposed it in the House, said all the legislation does is states require licenses to drive a car or even fish in local rivers. So requiring a license to buy a deadly handgun is a common sense step that could save countless lives. Now that seems to make sense. Now the Republicans say, oh my God, we need ID before you can vote. Otherwise there's going to be wide-scale voter fraud. And so here they're saying, hey, can we get an ID before you buy a weapon that you could murder people with? And conservatives say, how dare you? No. Okay, no, giving deadly weapons, just you don't need ID for that. Just hand them out at your local candy shop. By the way, at the gun shows and on the internet, that's it. That's the problem. They got a loophole. If you're buying it in a legitimate way through a store, you do have to go to through a background check. But you're buying it from Joe Schmo at a gun show, have at it, Hoss. Buy whatever you like. No ID required, right? So wait, do you believe in ID or don't you believe in ID? Okay, so Jennifer Baker, who is an NRA spokesperson, says they cannot ban guns because of the Constitution. So they want to make it so difficult for law-abiding citizens to exercise their constitutional right to self-protection. Well, is that right? Is that really how it works? This is all about self-protection? Well, let's just go to one of, unfortunately, many stories in the country about how guns are actually used, okay? I haven't seen too many stories of people actually defending against tyranny with their guns. Oftentimes, if they say they're doing that, they're shooting at cops. Okay, so let's take a case of in Iowa. It involves a guy named Alex Kozak and the different things that he's apparently using his guns for. Okay, so who's Alex Kozak? He's an Iowa mall cop. He's political. He's right-wing. He's put up things like this on Facebook. If I wanted to be a foreigner, I would have moved to another country. I don't expect to be one in my own. Close our borders. Like and share if you care. Okay, I got it. You're a conservative. You're against immigrants. All right, no problem. All right, so then he goes on to talk about guns. Okay, so he puts out this cute little meme, kind of a meme. Republican is, of course, an elephant, a Democrat's a donkey, and then a Texan is a raptor with an AR-15. Texans are so tough, they got all their guns. Well, more on the gun theme, he says, I am born-free, gun-toting, Constitution-loving American. Like and share if you are too. Okay, obviously very much in favor of guns. But furthermore, he says in another picture and meme that he put up on Facebook, I'd rather stand my ground than be put in the ground. Okay. So obviously Alex Kozak is a person who just has a gun to defend himself. He's a Constitution-loving American. He's got his Second Amendment rights. The NRA agrees. I mean, he's going to use that gun for defense, right? Well, turns out not exactly. He went and did a shooting at that same mall that he worked at. He shot a girl who he had made several sexual advances to. Now, those sexual advances were not welcome. She reported him, and then he got fired because that's what's supposed to happen. He did it over and over again, and she was very clear. She said, look, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. So I'm going to tell you what he did to her in a second. But Alex Kozak's father-in-law says, look, quote, if circumstances were that it'd be best not to have a weapon present, he didn't have a problem with that. In most of the cases, and a lot of people who knew him say, he would almost always carry around a weapon. His father-in-law says, don't get me wrong. I mean, if there was a rare circumstance in which he didn't need a weapon, then he wouldn't have it. Oh, wow. Okay. So did he really need a weapon here? Now, let me tell you what happened, unfortunately, in Iowa that day. According to the Gazette, Alex Kozak was taken into custody after shooting 20-year-old Andrea Farrington 3 times in the back while she was at work at Iowa's Children's Museum in the Coral Ridge Mall in Coralville, Iowa. What was that about defending against tyranny and how you need the weapons because you're going to go hunting or you're going to go in the woods and fight against the government? Is that what really happens? Yes, the hunting happens. Protecting yourself from intruders, incredibly rare. What happens far more frequently is you go shoot someone you're pissed at, right or wrong. Oh, how dare she reject your sexual advances? And of course, this is when the idiots at the NRA would say, no, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. If only she'd been armed too. Oh, right, she got shot in the back 3 times. It turns out, as Raw's story explains, this is a guy who's in the pictures that you used to see. You know, the guys who carry around their weapons in public. Kozak, who's currently being held on $10 million bail, is married to Kelly Kozak. Oh, that's interesting. Nice family values there, too. He's married to someone else while he was trying to have sex with the other girl who he shot in the back. And Kelly Kozak recently posted pictures on her Facebook page of a visit to Costco where her husband can be seen carrying a sidearm. You know those idiots that go into the Targets and the Costcos and the Starbucks with a heavy weaponry? He's one of those guys. And every time we do those stories, they say, no, Cenk, you don't understand. Those are good patriotic Americans who only have those weapons in case they need them for constitutional reasons. It just so happens that when they use them, it's usually in a circumstance completely different than that. And oftentimes there's a circumstance like this where a poor 20-year-old girl gets shot in the back 3 times. See, if you have a lot of guns around, you know what happens? Sometimes you use them.